winner of the 2024 Texas Regional Radio Music Awards Internet Radio Station of the Year.
Uvalde Radio.
UvaldeRadio.net. Good evening and welcome back to Friday Night Live. We are live at Broadway 830 at 100 East Main Street, downtown Uvalde. And we feature the rising stars of Texas music every Friday. And I know it's kind of a holiday weekend, but we're still here, man, having a good time celebrating the red, white, and blue. God bless America. And we've got, on the poster, we put Austin, but I'm kind of unclear. I think this guy's from a little bit of everywhere. Please welcome Max Rios.
All right. Thank you.
So clear, are you from like the Austin area?
Well, I'm originally born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Right. So I saw that because the Wayside
exactly,
are from Houston,
Wayside
right?
Drive is in Houston.
Right.
So, born and raised. I moved 16 years ago to Bastrop. Well, I say Bastrop, but it's Cedar Creek.
Okay.
Nobody knows Cedar Creek. Barely know Bastrop, but actually Bastrop's growing because Austin's spilling out, man. It's just nuts. So for my friends, I say Austin because that gives them a good visual of, I know where he's at. It's for people that kind of know me, I say Bastrop because no one knows where Cedar Creek is. Cedar Creek is like 15 minutes from. It's southeast. It's like southeast, 24 miles southeast of Austin.
Right.
So I'm by the airport. So.
It's so crazy because Texas is such a big place.
Yeah.
And there are some spots, like if you're from Uvalde,
right,
and you're talking to somebody who's outside of Texas, you say San Antonio.
Yeah, you don't say Dehanis.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
For sure, right. You round up, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly.
And I spend a lot of my time in Irving, Texas, which may as well be Dallas, right? So you call it Dallas. So,
right, exactly.
Irving makes a name for itself, the old home of the Cowboys.
I was going to say the Cowboy Stadium was there.
For many years. But where you're from, Max, it's a pleasure to have you on the air with us live.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for
So we talked to you before, just like a quick phone interview, I believe.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, and you're no stranger to Uvalde. I know you play over at Ruby's occasionally.
Play Ruby's, yeah.
And you got a gig lined up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, Max, go ahead and give me your history with Uvalde. How long have you been gigging around?
I think when we spoke on the radio, I told you that I was involved with Tejano back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I have quite a bit of history. We used to play at the Civic Center just down the street here all the time. We opened for like Emilio, Mas, Los Chamacos. I can't remember. There were so many. But I actually had menudo with Emilio one night. That's like my claim to fame.
Crazy.
Sitting right next to him, he's eating menudo. So I think Roberto Pulido, maybe Little Joe. But we would come down here and play all the time. And I think I told you that one time we had a gig Christmas Eve. This is a year-old story.
Okay.
I'm recycling it. So and this is for the young guys. We had or young musicians, I should say that. This is coming from an old dog like myself. Never book a gig during Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Because we had a Christmas Eve gig here in Uvalde with Excelencia. It was over at the Purple Sage. I don't know if anybody in the area remembers the Purple Sage.
The old schoolers all remember the Purple Sage here in town.
So we said, man, we got a Christmas Eve gig. All right. We're all excited. We show up to the gig. Everything's set up. I don't remember anybody being there. There may have been one or two. I'm going to give ourselves credit. Maybe we drew 2 people. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
So we just went and bought some beer, went back to the hotel, and told ghost stories So I've never played Christmas Eve again because I said it didn't work.
Small towns, I'm not going to use the word, but small towns are a B as far as getting people out. You know what I mean? Especially on the holidays or when the local football team is playing.
Stay away Friday nights.
Right.
Friday nights, stay away.
Exactly. But you would think that at least the promoter would have had a handful of friends, right? If I'm going to put a show together, I know at least I've got my family, my friends, girlfriend, a few running buddies, bar buddies. So, it's going to be a good dozen to 20 people, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody there. That was one of those.
Christmas, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then we went and just got some beer and went to the hotel. And
did you have a guarantee? Did you at least get paid?
I don't remember. I know we had rooms.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was so long ago. It was 93 or 4. And I was a lot younger and probably a lot more naive,
Right.
So we were just having fun. We were just,
and that's part of it, man.
We
the
were
running
running with it.
Right?
We were having fun, and we were getting away with it, So, chalk it up to, for any of the young guys and gals that are doing it, just have some fun and do it because you can look back and say, we gave it a try and we gave it everything we had, and I can honestly say that. I gave it everything I had, and But I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still
I'm
going,
still
man.
here. I'm still here. So music.
Let's talk about that again. We got Max Rios in here performing tonight for Friday Night Live. Just so you know, 7 to 10 p.m. as always. Live music out here in the patio. $4 pints from now till 10 p.m. They got some delicious artisan pizza, craft beer, really cool drink specials for the month of July, which we're going to go through in just a bit. But Max, like I said, you did some Tejano for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing some country. I think I've seen video. You can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do the timeline. Give us the very beginning of when you started music, and get us caught up.
I would say I was 3 years old listening to my mom's Elvis records. I remember because I had a Mickey Mouse record player and playing all. My mom was from Houston, so she had all the rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And then my dad was from Victoria, Texas, and they got married in their 20s. So there was always country music. Uh-huh. Growing up, my mom didn't listen to country music, but she started listening to it with, my dad's influence. Right, yeah. So every morning we would drive to school. We would listen to KILT in Houston, and it was country music, and it was Loretta Lynn, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was, and I think back to it now because later on in my life, I always got made fun of. Even with Tejano, when I'd pick up a guitar, the guys would say, "Man, that sounds country." And people would always make fun of me, mm-hmm. But I think that during that formative period of, from kindergarten to like 6th or 7th grade, just listening to country music, I think it gets in your DNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really believe that.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of Beatles for my kids, uh-huh. But now they're listening to Megan Thee Stallion, and I'm going, okay, what happened with that experiment? But I really think that really created some kind of formative connection in my brain because country has always been there. Always. Of course, when I got into my high school years, my 12, I was Ace Frehley fan. I was, all that rock and roll was, everything that was in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Dio, I saw Randy Rhoads. I saw all that.
Love it.
Dio, I just saw that today. It was 40 years ago. They put out Last in Line, I think 2 days ago, something like that. So wow. I'm still a fan. I still listen to all that.
God rest his soul, man. We lost a good one there.
Yeah. So I all that time, I was a heavy rocker, mm-hmm. and then I went and believe it or not, I started experimenting and listening to different things, and I was always playing guitar. Then I actually went to Berklee College of Music for 2 years. And started to get into jazz, and I was a little late for that because mm-hmm. the guys or the students that were there, they were just so far advanced as far as jazz.
You got to get on that stuff pretty early.
You had to be on that train, early on.
It's like you said, it has to be in your DNA.
It has to be in your DNA,
right?
Sure. And I learned that early on, and but I went through all that jazz phase, and I still listen to it all. I listened to it all, and then. Then in the 90s, I had never really... Little Joe was always in the background. Like I said, my mom listened to all the classics, the Vicente Fernandez and all that stuff, and the rock and roll. And then I got a call from some friends that I knew, and they said, hey, we got a Tejano band. You want to try it on guitar? And I was like, I've never played it. I have no idea what it is, know. And then, so they said, here's an album. They had an album. So learn the album. So I learned all the songs on guitar, and then they came over the day and they said, hey, guitar player's he was going to join La Sombra at the time, and then he decided not to, and they said, can you play bass? And I said, man, I've never even touched the bass. So I picked up a bass, and then I played the bass, and then I got the job, and I got stuck there for 9 years. I wouldn't say stuck, but it was just a crazy good time in the 90s. It was so exciting. We lived it.
Tejano was king, man.
Yeah, we lived it. We were old with it, and we got signed by Sony. Did 2 albums with them, and then we got. Then they released us, and that's just probably one of the lowest parts of my music life. When you say, we're not going to need you. And this is the irony was I was in San Antonio, and I told my bud, I said, hey, let's go to the radio. Let's go to the. I'm losing my train of thought. No, it's not the radio. Yeah, it's the label, the record label, okay. Sony Records. I got to talk to the head. See if we can get the advance for the 3rd album. We were starting to work on it. He says, "Hey, come on in. I'm glad you're here. We need to talk to you. Close the door." And he says, "Well, we decided not to pick up your option. This is So you talk about a low point in your life, man. When you just it was just blindsided because we were working hard. We were going coast to coast. I mean, we were going California, Florida, up to Minnesota, Chicago. We were all over. There was no lack of work.
So before we move on, give me some highlights of that era of getting across the nation, and what are some of your great memories and some low points? I guess.
I mean, just playing anywhere. You know, we did 3 albums of our own, self-financed. And then finally, we Bob Gayabsa, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He was he played with, he recorded with Peaches and Herb.
Oh, wow,
he was the guitar player, and he was a huge producer. He played with Little Joe and La Familia as well. And then he said, hey, I like you guys, because we had brass, and he says, I want to, sign you guys. And then he signed us, and we went and signed up with Sony, and we did 2 records with him. He produced 2 albums with us, and they're still great sounding records. The band was called Latin Image. And then we changed it to Imagen Latina so that we could kind of get that cross thing going. So we did 2 albums with Sony, and then I inadvertently walked into the door and sat down at the wrong time, so we got dropped. And then did some phone calls, and then A.B. Quintanilla actually signed us. We were with Q Productions for that final album with Capitol. They put us on Capitol, and we did one record with them, and this is when Selena was at her all-time high. It was 95.
Wow.
And it was I think it was end of 94 into 95. We were working on the album at his house. It was exciting as heck, man. It was we'd known A.B. all these years, and but just running into each other, high five, hey, how's it going, whatever. We'd do shows together, and then of course we were needing some help, and says, yeah, I want you guys. I want to work with you guys. And then I think he may never say this, but I think he was trying to make us the early version of the Cumbia Kings, because he had me dressing in all this weird, funky stuff that they were wearing now with the backwards hats. So I'm thinking in his mind, he was thinking of this type of band.
He was working on something.
Yeah, he was working on something.
You were like the predecessor. You're like
the
version 1.0.
Yeah, because he was saying, you guys need to do this. Cut your hair like this, and then put these hats on, and we did it. And put the album out, and it was doing really good. And then we opened for Selena at the George R. Brown in January of 95. By March, she did the big rodeo thing. And then we did a show in Houston like the third week in March. It was a sellout in Houston. It was on a Thursday night, and then Friday we were off. Saturday we went to Fort Worth, the Guys and Dolls. Remember that? Yeah. Guys and Dolls. We played there Saturday with them, opened up for them, and A.B. was singing, and I was going, what's going on? After they got off, he goes, Selena's sick. She's got to go to Nashville Wednesday to record with David Byrne for the new album.
Wow.
So he goes, I'm just stalling. I'm just trying to get her through the night. And he says, why don't you come open up for us in Bryan the next day, Sunday? And I said, I can't. I got a gig in north of Lubbock, Plainview. So, and this is back, there was no cell phones back then. It was just pagers, Yeah. So he was just cancel it, man. Don't worry about it. Come open up. That way we can play less and get her back home, and then she can go do the studio thing.
Yeah.
So this was the week before her untimely death.
Wow.
Yeah, so we actually were the last probably support act. And I found that video, the road manager that we had back then, Ruben Lopez, he gave me all these old tapes, all these VHS tapes. And I saw that, and I saw like 5 seconds, and I said, oh, that's that show. So I didn't want to mess it up in my VCR that hadn't been turned on in,
you never know
20 years, 25 years. So I took it out and actually drove it to them and gave it to them. And I said, hey, look, this is on there. This is probably the last recorded footage of Selena, you know what I mean? Because that was Saturday at the Guys and Dolls. They played Sunday at the Fiesta Ballroom. And then we went to Plainview, and then we got canceled. We drove all the way up there. I got canceled. And so it's like the irony of that. We could have actually finished it out. And then, like I said, no one knows. No one knew that. So you talk about a roller coaster ride. That last week was a roller coaster ride because we did 2 shows with her. And then they were going to California I think the following day, before she went to the hotel and was trying to sort out business with the person, and then it was over. It was and then we go to the wake and the funeral, like maybe the next week, I can't remember. And then the really surreal thing was, the family says, hey, we're going back to the studio and listen to the music. And then we're actually listening to, her new album, the English album that was coming out. So that, I mean, if that's like a synopsis of that roller coaster ride, that's probably the highest, just wild ride, the whole thing at the very end there. But yeah, that whole 9 years was
what a remarkable story. I mean, even if just and the Selena story is just such a remarkable, huge part of music history. Yeah. Just to kind of be in the conversation, even if it's like a footnote. Yeah. What an honor that must be. Just to know that you were a part of all that. Man.
It was weird. It was weird because
I didn't know this stuff. This is good stuff.
Yeah, it's just you think back now and you're young and you're just rolling with it and you're just in that rocket ride and you don't realize you're at a stratospheric level, and you're just gliding along, and then all of a sudden, and then people always said, when she died, it pulled the rug out of Tejano, and I would say, no, you can't do that. But looking at it back from a retrospective, I'm like. You took a big cog out of that machinery there. And
it hasn't quite been the same. And I tell you what, though, I mean, decades later, her legacy is still there. Bigger than ever, actually.
Bigger than ever.
Yeah,
I've never seen the movie because I don't want to see it.
Right.
I've never seen any of the spin-off things. I don't want to see it. People will come back and tell me what they saw, and it correlates with some of the stuff that A.B. told me. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of truth to it, because he would tell me, like, dude, I would go to school, wouldn't take a bath, kids would make fun of me, and he goes, but we were coming off the road on a Sunday, and I couldn't stay awake in school, and he would tell me all these stories, how hard they really worked, man. The whole family was like that, and it was.
No, I mean, if I were a part of that, I would be skeptical to watch that, because every little part that was wrong or exaggerated or whether on purpose or just accidentally, it'd get under your skin.
And I want to kind of remember as much as I can, as much as my memory will allow me to preserve that time,
Wow, it's fantastic. Anyway. Well, that is a great part of your story. We're going to get more back into more of your story, but I figure we've been talking for about 15 minutes now. Let's do one of your songs.
Sure.
Because we want to play your music. Now, your current song that we have is For What It's Worth.
For What It's Worth.
I know that's off of like a new EP or something like that. So give us the details on the record, the EP, and then we'll get the song on.
Okay. Yeah, that's a new EP. It's called the Underdog Diaries. Put that out last year, and I'm getting ready to put some new stuff out. It just takes a lot longer, It really, it takes not to come up with the material to get, to fund yourself to get into the studio. But that song was inspired by just me dealing with my boss at the time, you know what I mean? And I worked there at this particular place 5 years, and we were not seeing eye to eye, and I was having all these rebuttals and all this strategy going on in my head, and I was thinking, okay, when he says this, I'm going to say this, and when he does that, I'm going to go over here, but when he goes over there, yet I'm going to go 3 times further. Right. So I had all this strategy.
This mental chess game going on.
Exactly. You're driving yourself, and I stopped myself. I was like, you're driving yourself crazy. Stop. Yeah. Stop. It's not worth it. And then that's where I literally wrote most of the song, and I kind of jotted it down as a relationship, you know what I mean? Where it's like a lot of people get into a relationship and they're just tit for tat and they're pushing each other's buttons, and it's like, who can outdo the other? Who can hurt the other worse? Okay, I'm going to do this. And so I kind of did it, and I said, for what it's worth, just let it go. Give it wings and let it fly, because it's not worth it. I had all these, and there's one song that said, all these clever comebacks. I wanted to spew at you. You know what I mean? It's like I had all these things, and I'm like, what am I doing to myself? I'm driving myself crazy.
No, and that's the voice of wisdom and maturity coming out, because I think when we're all angry young men, we just want to win the argument. Yeah, we just want to have the last word. We want to be a smart guy,
Exactly.
And especially when you're young or you've got that authority figure that's just burning you. Yeah, but it takes wisdom and maturity to go, you know what? This isn't even worth my time, man. So let's go and get it on. Max Rios and the Waysiders, For What It's Worth, and this is UvaldeRadio.net on Friday Night Live.
followed me through town. And all those nosy neighbors that we kept entertained. Time to change the channel, 'cause nothing here remains. Gone are the spiteful words that cut me to the bone. Gone are the restless nights that ran me from my home. And all those clever comebacks I wanted to spew at you. Darling, I surrender, I found better things to do. For what it's worth, I cannot take it with me when I'm gone. For what it's worth, they're all just cluttered thoughts without a home. Just turn around and walk away. For what it's worth, just turn them loose and set them free. For what it's worth, just give them wings and let them fly. For what it's worth. Best day of my life. Gone all the pictures that bring better times. And all those flying objects and echoes of slamming doors. Darling, that's the ball game, 'cause I'm no longer keeping the score. For what it's worth, we pulled at every yarn and came undone. For what it's worth, pushed every shining button just for fun. Just take the things that speak to you for what it's worth. Just close the door and pull the shade for what it's worth. Just give them wings and let them fly for what it's worth. Go, girl. The shackles that tethered me to you. Gone all them spiteful words that cut me to the bone. And all those clever comebacks I wanted to spew at you. Darling, I surrender, I found better things to do. For what it's worth, we pulled at every yarn and came undone. For what it's worth, every shiny button just for fun. For what it's worth, had the best of one another, now it's gone. Just take the things that speak to you for what it's worth. Just close the door and pull the shades for what it's worth. Just give them wings and let them fly for what it's worth.
UvaldeRadio.net, Friday Night Live. We are live at Broadway, 830 at 100 East Main Street, downtown Uvalde. It's a beautiful evening, and it's only going to get better. So come on out here, bring the friends, bring the family, bring a little bit of beer money. They got delicious artisan pizza. They got some $4 pints from now till 10 p.m. And we got live music by Max Rios. That was his new single called For What It's Worth off the Underdog Diaries EP, which is available now wherever you get your streaming and downloading your music. Give us the quick run on how to find that.
You can go to Spotify, and it's on Spotify, and all the major platforms. You know, you can buy it. I've got a few hard copies I'm going to give out tonight. So thanks for reminding me, because they're in my car, and every time I do a gig, I say, I'm going to take these off and I'm going to set them there and hand them out. But so if you come tonight, unless I forget within the next 30 minutes, you can get a free hard copy.
Now, off the air, we were talking about, we're old school. We like CDs, man. I still buy CDs.
I still buy them myself.
And LPs, whatever I can.
Yeah.
I've even bought a few limited, because they're even making cassettes in limited edition these days. For some select artists. Just for the novels, just when I give them to my daughter, I'm like, hey, check it out. That's how I rocked it in 1984, man. But I'm glad that you have the desire to put out CDs still. So, and now, if somebody were to go digging through a record store looking for Max Rios stuff, how many records and albums and how much product is? Give me a quick, like if you were a movie star, give me the IMDb list. Give me the full list of bands that you've recorded with and different iterations of your music.
I did 7 records with Latin Image.
Wow.
There's 3, and they were LPs back then. We used to have press LPs and cassettes. And then we got signed by Sony, and we did 2 with Sony, and I think they're out of print. I think we did a reunion show like 3 years ago in Houston, and then somebody looked it up on eBay or whatever, and I don't remember what it was. It was pricey.
They priced you out of your own record.
Yeah. We were laughing. It's like, we don't even have copies of these, but we don't want to buy them because they're too expensive. But so I did 2 with Sony, 1 with Capitol, which was the A.B. Quintanilla produced, and then I did a rock en español thing. You know, I was doing some rock, and I did 2 albums with a band that I put together with a fellow friend from Houston, Chuck Peña. We did Los Gallos. We were, in English, it was the Roosters. But Los Gallos, and we did 2 EPs, Spanish rock. And then since then I've done 7 EPs. I don't have a full CD of my own stuff, but the idea was to eventually find the best cuts out of those 7 EPs. And say, let's assemble an album, because I still want my own album, my album, you know. But I'm going into the studio here in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to work with an actual producer. I've self-produced everything, you know, since I stopped the Tejano thing.
So even this track, for what it's worth, that's self-produced?
Yeah, self-produced.
Sounds real good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just self-produced. Me and Brian Baker, the guy who owns the State Sound Art Studio in Houston, he's basically he's an engineer, but he's producing as well. He'll say, you're flat, again, you're flat. You know, and I've learned not to take it personally, you know what I mean? And so you got another one, you got a better one. So I always say we co-produce, you know what I mean? Because he's actually guiding me, you know, and saying, well, let's do another track.
But you got to have outside ears, no matter what.
Yeah, because you get tunnel vision and you think, you know, and even now I'll go back and listen, going, oh, man, I can't believe I let that go, you know what I mean?
I can't believe he let that go.
Yeah, right, exactly, blame it on him. But yeah, I've actually produced all of them, except for the Los Gallos stuff with Brian. So and I've known Brian since our Tejano days, because at Sound Arts we did the first 2 records there. The first 2 LPs, so I've known Brian for a real long time, since the early 90s.
So these last 7 Max Rios EPs, give me the window from now till...
it was from 99, I think. The first one was 99, and that was Fork in the Road. And then it's like 2 years later, and I can't even remember them anymore.
Every few years.
Yeah, every few years I'll put them out, you know what I mean? I go into the studio and just put my pennies together and set it on the counter and say, what do we got, Brian? I think you got about half a song. Come back. No.
Now, let's talk about the Waysiders, because it is Max Rios and the Waysiders. That's the branding on most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a core group that you work with, or are they revolving a bit?
They're revolving more now because we're older and they're in Houston. But they do play with me, like Odie Rodriguez, the bass player, Joe Lopez, the drummer. Odie's been with me since the beginning, since like... since like 97. We used to play cover band, rock band and stuff, you know, and Odie's been with me since then. And not all, I mean, he's been there the longest, you know, and Chuck Peña was the singer up till about 2020. He got lymphoma.
Wow.
And it was like, it was right at the end of the year. It was New Year's Day. He said, I felt real bad, and he goes, I thought I was constipated. So he went to the doctor, and he said, no, you're not constipated. You have a 13-centimeter growth in your lymph nodes. So, so he had no idea. He goes in and finds out, and then he goes through the chemo and all that stuff. and he's fine now. I just saw him. I just saw him a month ago, and he's fine. And he slowed down because I like I told him, I said, man, I'm still running and gunning and coming in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you can't do that.
But we had the pandemic too, which I'm sure
that
slowed
too.
you down.
That was like right then.
Yeah.
We were going to have a benefit for him March 12th.
Oh, right. That
2020,
was
and it was that weekend. Everything shut down that Friday.
That's when Greg Abbott shut down the state.
Everything went kaput. Yeah, we were going to have it that Sunday because, we're just going to... He's like, I don't want a benefit. I said, but Chuck, nobody wants it, but any little bit extra will help anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it was just pride, and but we had this huge lineup, 17 bands were going to play, and then that just kiboshed everything. It was that same weekend. We were watching the news, and we were going, man, I don't know. And then, but because we didn't know the reality of what was going on.
Oh, right.
New York was going crazy, and then all of a sudden, everything's just like...
It's amazing that was just a few years ago, right?
Just a few years ago,
Yes, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, again, we got Max Rios here. He's performing tonight for Friday Night Live, 7 to 10 p.m. right here on the patio. If you come on out here tonight, you can catch the end of this live interview. We do it every Friday night, featuring the rising stars of Texas music. Now, Max has been around the block a few times, and we're honored to have you here on UvaldeRadio.net for the first time live. I know that you, like we talked about earlier, you play at Ruby's every now and again. Before it gets too late, let's go ahead and plug if you got any upcoming shows that we don't want to miss that are outside of Uvalde or in Uvalde.
Yeah, next week I've got a smaller gig in Seguin.
Cool.
It's called the Power Plant. I do it acoustic, same thing, and I love doing it because it keeps me in shape, it keeps me thinking, and it keeps me playing. And then the following week I go to Boston and do a gig in
wow.
It's actually Somerset, Mass.
Cool.
So I've been doing this. This will be the 3rd year, and I do it. It's just a small festival, but it's my wife's birthday too, so it's a good excuse to just And so we've done this.
Trip, have a good time.
This will be the 3rd trip we do up there. So that's July 20th. It's on a Saturday, and her birthday's the 22nd. So I've got to remember that, but because I've messed it up a couple of times. But I've got one big blowout show in Flatonia. That's going to be the show. I think the show of the year. Not to discount anything else I've done, but this is we're closing the festival, the 52nd annual Chisenspiel in Flatonia, and that's a huge thing. I've actually been in Chili's, the restaurant Chili's in Florida, and they have pictures of Flatonia Chisenspiel Festival, in their lobby, when you're just sitting there waiting.
Right,
so I'm like, wow, there's Flatonia. I used to play Flatonia in the Tejano days. Back then, we used to rent the American Legion Hall. So I've been playing, and I was the last 25 years. I've been playing there. Doing acoustic gigs.
You're kind of a big deal there.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, but a lot of people kind of know me because I've been there all.
For sure.
And so this time they actually said, look, we've got Slade Coulter is headlining. I'm not real familiar with his stuff, but he's kind of a new guy, one Texas country guy. And they said, can you start in 30 minutes? Because we do not want to lose the crowd. At 11:30, you kick off. And I say, no problem. I will be there.
Yeah.
So we're going to close the show, and I'm going to bring this huge band. I'm actually bringing some guys from Latin Image, the horn players, the trumpet players, because we want to do it because it's kind of a Czech, Mexican, Polish type thing, out there, and everybody knows polka is Mexicans took it from the Europeans and just mashed it up. So we're gonna do a song like it's called Peanuts. So we want to do a polka. So I said, man, we got to bring the guns, man. So
that's awesome.
This is gonna be So I'm putting everything into this big show because we're gonna have a steel guitar player, accordion, the band, Joe, Odie, and the horn players. So we're throwing everything at this one. So
what a treat that must be, man.
So yeah, it's gonna.
And I'm sure. I mean, you're gonna be here tonight doing solo acoustic, and obviously there's a big difference between the full production and just a solo thing.
I don't have to play that much. I just gotta play my guitar because there's so much noise. You know what I mean from the other guys.
A big wall of sound.
I'm just like strumming here and there, so I don't have to cover that much.
And now, do you sing lead on all these things, or you share the?
That night I have a singer. Her name is Kate Ramzinski.
Okay.
I met her in Flatonia.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's a country singer. She's been playing with me for like 7-8 years, and then we started picking up a little steam, and then we got a gig at Green Hall, and then we were opening for Casey Donahue, and then she meets a person there. They start dating. Lo and behold, they get married. So I got her married. I married her off. You know what I mean? But she's gonna sing, and she does like the classic country. She does like the Tanya Tucker. She does. She nails that. That's her voice.
Yeah.
So I'll be splitting vocal duties with her, and she'll. Sure, she's gonna kill it. She's gonna kill it. Yeah.
Now, if somebody's still listening at home and they're excited to come out here tonight to get you, give us a little indication about what your solo stuff is like.
So I call it Tex Americana, because most of the stuff I write is country based. It ranges, because Tom Petty was a big influence. John Cougar Mellencamp, I shouldn't say Cougar. John Mellencamp was a big influence.
I still call him Cougar.
So it's that's in there. You know what I mean? It's baked in, and there's country stuff like you heard with For What It's Worth, and then there's a little bit of, I guess, the Tejano thing. The other flip side of that was a song called Angelina. And Angelina was my mom's name, and she passed away in 2016. And I had that lick, the little main lick that I call it the head, the lick that plays over and over, for 7 years. That 1 year that she passed away, it was like nothing came out. It was just a dead space upstairs.
Yeah.
And but I had that lick, and then when I got together with Joe, the drummer, and Odie at Joe's house, he's like, "What do you have?" And I said, "Well, I had this lick. Let's listen." And they liked it. He said, "Well, let's work it up." And then we worked up For What It's Worth as well, and we recorded those the same day actually.
Right.
Most of it was done the same day, except we went back and did steel guitar and some other instruments, but the drums, bass, guitar or scratch guitar went down the same day. But so tonight I'll play some original music, and then I'll do some of my influence type music. I love the Texas country stuff. I love I like the older stuff, the Willie Nelson stuff, and then I'll do. I bring percussion up here because I'll usually say, "Is there a drummer in the house?" And sometimes they'll say, "No, there's someone that thinks they want to be a drummer." And then they'll come up and they'll play a tambourine, and so we'll do a couple of cumbias too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, and it's
call it interactive, call it an experiment, whatever.
Yeah. And one time I played in Lytle. There was a bunch of little kids there. I couldn't get them off the stage, man. They had those instruments, and they were doing it every song. I was going, no. It's supposed to be just one song.
That's where the parents at.
Yeah, I was like, how do I tell them? But I ended up having to give one of the shakers to one of the little girls because she would not let it go.
Oh, my gosh.
But I was like, well, you know what? This is a good part of just letting the crowd be part of the show. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. That's very cool. Well, again, it's Max Rios here in Uvalde, so come on out and see him September 7th at Ruby's, right? So make plans, write that down on your calendar now. He's back over at our friends at Ruby's Lounge on September 7th. That'll be a great time. And meanwhile, come out and see him here tonight, 7 or 10 p.m., which we got to get this baby wrapped up. I do have another song of yours called South Congress Serenade. It's an older track, right?
Yeah.
Give me a quick intro. We're going to play this one.
Okay, that was the first song. Well, I had just moved to Austin, and then we played at Weddell's on South Congress. It's across the street from Continental. It's a real famous place, I mean, we've done a radio show there. We've done the Sun Radio there twice, played live. But that time I was sick, and I was like miserable, and I was sweating and like fever out. And then I looked over at Chucky. Chucky was singing at the time, and I'm like, he's grinning ear to ear. I'm like, why is this guy grinning? Why is he having such a good time? I'm miserable. And he kind of gives me the eye, like, look out. There's one girl out there. She's dancing on her own, and she had a spaghetti strap dress on and cowboy boots. So after the thing, I wrote this song, and we call her the ballerina in cowboy boots. So in this song, it just talks about running west. Like, okay, I just left Houston, and I say, man, this makes sense now. I want to do this, And in there, I call out the Weddell's a little bit. They paid us $200 in a pickle jar. So there's 2 bills in a pickle jar. So no offense to Weddell's, but you know what? After we did that, I said, this is what I want to do. This is basically my calling now. This is what I want to do. I don't care how much they pay me. I'm gonna go just play for people.
What a great story. That's awesome. Well, let's play it right now. We're going to wrap up real quick.
Thank you.
And just kind of put a bow on it. But
thank you.
This is Max Rios with South Congress Serenade, and you're hearing it on Friday Night Live. This is UvaldeRadio.net.
I left home about a year ago. Just got tired of the status quo. Mom said, son, where you gonna go? I said, I don't know, Mama, but I can't stay here. Toss my corn into the well. Cross my heart, swore never to tell. I'm not much on superstition, but the way things are going, man, I can't take a chance. I'm gonna ride out west till I'm all out of tears. Find a little tune burning in my ears. South Congress Serenade is a ballerina dance in cowboy boots, sweet sachet in a summer dress. Tell me where have I been all these years? Drove off into the night, St. Jude by the dashboard light. There's 100 bars and 1,000 bands. There's plenty of work if you can get them to dance. Got my first gig at Ware Rose, 5 blocks south of the Congress Bridge. 2 bills and a pickle jar was all it took, man, I ain't looked back. I'm gonna ride out west till I'm all out of breath. Find a little girl with a flower in her hair. South Congress Serenade is a ballerina dance in cowboy boots. Got sprinkle freckles, smiles in her eyes. Tell me where has she been all my life? Till I'm all out of tears. Find a little tune burning in my ears. I'm gonna ride out west till I'm all out of breath. Find a little girl with a flower in her hair. South Congress Serenade is a ballerina dance in cowboy boots, sweet sachet in a summer dress. Tell me where have I been all these years? South Congress Serenade is a ballerina dance in cowboy boots. Got sprinkle freckles, smiles in her eyes. Tell me where have I been? Tell me where have you been? Tell me where we've been all our lives.
UvaldeRadio.net, Friday Night Live. That is Max Rios, South Congress Serenade. And Max will be serenading all the ladies and gentlemen here tonight at Broadway 830, 7 to 10 p.m. on the patio. You got $4 pints from now till 10 p.m. Also, some really cool drink specials. They've got the Bomb Pop, which is a really kind of American, really patriotic thing that literally has a Bomb Pop, like, popsicle in the drink. Shark Attack, Pineapple Bang, and some great pizza specials as well. Try the beer flight. That's always really cool. Max, what do you drink, man?
I'm a simple date. I'm a cheap date. I'm a Lone Star guy.
Lone Star.
That's it. Lone
right,
Star.
Yeah,
Lone Star.
Keep it Texas, man, if you can. Yeah. All right, so come on here and get Max a big old Lone Star.
There you
go. He'll take good care of you on the stage. Max, give us the website, social medias, whatever it is you want to plug here.
Sure. You can go to just simple www.maxrios.com, and that's as simple as it gets. maxrios.com. That's the website. Mm-hmm. I try to keep it up to date as well as I can, and it's got all the news and gigs, shows, some pictures. I try to keep the pictures up, and then you can go to Max Rios and the Waysiders Facebook, or you can go to Max Rios, and it's tied together on Facebook, and then I think it's Max and the Waysiders on Instagram. But if you hit one, they kind of all you can link them all. Yeah. So, and I don't do X or Twitter. I just don't do it. So, but you can catch it at Facebook, Max Rios or Max Rios and the Waysiders, and same thing on Instagram. And if you want to go to the website, that's really the most accurate source of what's going on. But
all right,
thank you guys. Thank you, Mike, Robert, for having me over. And first time here at Broadway. I've driven by here a few times. Yeah. Because I go to the bakery. Can I give a cheap plug? Like a little bakery down the street.
You talking about La Gitana? Or is it, which one?
It's the one here by Churches.
Oh, yeah. What's that called now? I call it La Gitana. It used to be that one. What's it called? The
Fiesta?
Fiesta Bakery.
Yeah, I go there. I go there.
I thought it was a tortilleria. That's from the old days. Okay,
yeah. So I have to. It's obligatory that I come home with 2 packs of flour tortillas.
Before I get my pink cake.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they really call it, but that pink cake they always have. Right.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you've done this to Uvalde already.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a good time here at Broadway. Again, Max Rios performs here in about 15 minutes. Be sure to check out the website maxrios.com. Follow him on all the social medias. Give him a like and a follow, and come out and see him. It's been an honor and a pleasure getting to know you, man. Finally, in person.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So thanks for doing this, and let's go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. I'm saying this live, but obviously you're here. But we always put these interviews in podcast form on our interviews tab at uvalderadio.net. So be sure and if you got in early or you got in late on this interview, be sure and catch the whole thing. All right. So I'm Robert Miguel. It's Max Rios. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Can wrap it up here. We now resume regular programming on uvalderadio.net.